Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I'm excited to share my conversation today with Cyntoni Miller. Apparently, she's also known as Admin Cyn, which I love. She is the founder of Black on the Job, a Black-owned career development network, which is aimed at fostering a wide range of global professional skills in the Black community. She founded the company just a little over a year ago, back in June 2018. And she has made significant progress since then, really helping a group of individuals transcend career, geographical, and academic limits. And I think I'm reading this right. And let me ask you, Cyntoni, you've worked with 44,000 members and approximately 1.2 million in increased salaries. Is that right?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. We're at 52,000 now,
wow.
And we have accumulated up to $1.9 million in salary increases and raises over the past year and a half.
That's amazing. That is such incredible progress in such a short period of time. Well, let's do this, Cyntoni. Before we dive a bit deeper into your business, I want to hear your backstory. So take us back along your career path and tell us more about you.
Thank you. So I have been in human resources, HR operations for over a decade. My background is in recruitment. And so in HR, you could kind of move up the field. And so recruitment's kind of entry level, and then you go into talent acquisition. And I did that for over a decade. And as I kept doing resumes, interviews, and things like that, I realized that when it came to resumes, a lot of times once I get them in the door, they had more experience than what was listed. And so I realized that the number that I had for them of, the offer letter, what I wanted to negotiate with them was low based off what I interviewed with the resume. But when I go to the second or third resume and gather more information, they definitely would qualify for a higher position. But at that time, the recruiter is just the middleman between, the HR manager and the manager. Mm-hmm. So when I advocated for people to get higher salaries, they will look at the resume and say, that's not what they're worth. Mm. And so I wanted to change that conversation.
Absolutely. So talk to me more about in some of these roles that you had in your corporate career. And I want to lead up to, of course, you launching your business, which is very exciting. Again, just about a year and a half ago. What, you expressed there was some frustration, obviously, and the disconnect between people interviewing and the hiring team and what information was presented and how it was presented. What industries primarily were you working in prior to launching your business?
Okay, so I have a background of working with healthcare recruitment, education recruitment, call centers. Arizona's big call center capital. And those were my three main fields. I did dabble, and dabble is a very light word, into like engineering, IT. I did a little bit of legal. But my background and my sweet spot was education and healthcare.
Great. And then just broadly, Cyntoni, how, and you alluded to this a little bit, but I would imagine the job market, recruiting, applying for jobs, this whole process has changed significantly over the last decade, especially with an increase of sites, even LinkedIn, for example, being this huge database for job hunting, sites like Indeed and all kinds of different platforms coming to the table. What broad changes would you say you've seen over the last decade?
That's a good question. So we call our members in our group jobbies. And so with the jobbies, I have really worked with them on looking at how this industry has changed due to social media and the integration of new technology.
Mhm.
So before, it was kind of, foot to pavement. You may get, as a company, 4 to 5 applicants, 10 at the max for one position. With everything being so more integrated and streamlined, for each position, the average number of applicants is 100.
Mm.
And so for a company, it can be a little bit overwhelming, which is why we see this boost in talent manager acquisitions and, applicant tracking systems, ATS, to kind of rule out the numbers. But as an applicant on the other end, having that weighted game or even getting those auto reject letters can get very frustrating.
Mm.
And so when you're a Black person, especially dealing in the Western world, and you're already facing so many biases, when you get that auto reject letter, it can feel like, okay, was this racism? Was it, X, Y, and Z? And so I teach my jobbies about the and factor. Like, you can be, Black and successful and a businesswoman and all these other ands. But we also want to decrease our number of things counting against us. And so that's the reason why I kind of made Black on the Job. And it was just a Facebook group. It wasn't like ever supposed to be a business. It was like, okay, let me just help people. You can join this group. I'll give you some tips and, you just fly away on your merry way. And just over time, it just grew organically. So out of the 52,000 members that we have, we never advertised a group. Never.
Mm. Wow, that's awesome. That is incredible growth. So let's hone in on this decision you made not too long ago to flee corporate, if you will, and, talk about the decision. What was the context around that? How were you feeling? Obviously this Facebook group that you put together is growing, and you probably have lots of people saying, I need more help. What was that decision to say, all right, I'm going to go full on and focus on this?
That's a good question. So I got into talent acquisition and recruitment to help people get hired. And I was thinking in my head, like, okay, I want to be more solution oriented. So if I become a recruiter, I can recruit more people and I can get more people more jobs. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that alongside of Black on the Job for about 6 months. But then the need for my community became more overwhelming and more important to me than my need for a paycheck. And so I really just one day woke up and said, okay, well, I'm just going to quit my job and do this full time. And so it was very scary at first, but I will say that I have a team of 9 employees that are super amazing. And so as we grew this, and I was doing resumes at night and working 9 to 5, and we do lives in the group, and then we're releasing courses, I realized that, okay, my presence in the community needs to be more impactful. And I took an oath to my community, May of 2018, when I opened Black on the Job, and I realized that I was not living up to my oath. Like, if I say I'm going to help people, I need to do it. And if I fail at it, I need to know that I give it my very best shot. And so I talked to my parents, I talked to my team, and then I talked to my group members and was like, okay, you guys want more of me. You guys want me to do this, bring more information, bring more content and resources. We're going to have to streamline this group and move it in a different direction. And so everything that we do in Black on the Job is very transparent. So we as a group made the prices for our resume services, LinkedIn, and everything. We took the numbers across the nation, what the average company was charging, and then we vowed to charge only 20% of that.
Yeah, your prices are really, I was looking at your price list and I'm like, wow, girl, this is like amazing. I mean, you are doing so much for, a resume review, 30 minutes, $25. I mean, that is so generous of you. It is. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, we had to look at the economics because our group is for Black people. So I have to make sure that my prices matches my community. So if we're saying, hey, Black people are not getting hired, and then I asked I took lots of surveys and I said, why is it that you think Black people don't make a lot of money? And people said, oh, we don't have access to resources. And I'm like, it's all these resources out there. Why don't you use it? And they're like, we can't afford it. And I said, okay, I'm going to create a solution.
Wow. Yes, that's amazing. And you've got mock interview services on here. It looks like confidence coaching, the LinkedIn review piece. Let's pause on that, because that is, I mean, LinkedIn is, I don't want to say it's the tool, but it's a big tool, and it's a big part of hiring and recruiting and scouting. I know for myself, when I've done hiring, I will use LinkedIn just organically. I'm not even posting a job there, but just searching for keywords. I mean, I found one of my best employees who was with me for 4 years by just putting in some keywords on LinkedIn, and, who knows who type of thing. So talk about LinkedIn, what it's doing for some of the folks that you're working with, where you see it playing in this market.
Oh, this is my favorite. I'm called the LinkedIn bee. I'm telling you, people, my LinkedIn, I'm not going to lie, I have to toot my own horn. I have an 80% success rate at getting candidates to a job at 75K or higher after going through my LinkedIn review. And so LinkedIn is such a powerful tool, and a lot of it has to do with keyword searches, optimization, Boolean streams, all that good stuff. And these were the tools that I used as a recruiter. So as a recruiter, I had the LinkedIn Recruiter, the other side of LinkedIn that recruiters use to hire. And so I just took all those tools that I learned in the industry, and I came up with templates and walkthroughs. And so me and a team of 2 others that I've trained, we do LinkedIn reviews. And so the average rate for someone to revise your LinkedIn is about $1,500. But we have the whole, teach people how to fish series. So our LinkedIn review is comprised of 2 calls. So it's 2 30-minute calls for about $75. And the first call is a homework call. I go through your LinkedIn from top to bottom and dig it out, gut it out, send you all these red marks, and then you have to do your homework. And then in 3 weeks, when you're ready, I give templates, show you how to join groups, show you how to use LinkedIn, because it's like Facebook for professionals and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Love it. What do you see, Cyntoni, that is maybe some examples, some case studies, if you will, around unique approaches to getting hired, or unique approaches to marketing oneself, whether it's through LinkedIn or beyond? Anything come bubble to the surface for you?
Yeah. So the best way to market yourself at this present time is to be more well-rounded. So I give this very quick example for lawyers, attorneys, and things like that. They're LinkedIn with our lawyer bees. Their LinkedIn and their resume have a lot of community service and nonprofit information on there as well in certain sections. Because whatever field you're in, you need to look at the stereotypes and criticism of that field and combat it with positivity. So for our LinkedIn lawyer bees, or, when they get their resumes done, I make sure I add a section about community service on their resume and on their LinkedIn to show that, hey, I'm not just, a cutthroat lawyer. I actually do have a humanity side. And for our doctors, medical field as well.
Fantastic. Love it. Anything like highly creative you've seen somebody do, maybe with video or maybe even a personal website?
Yes. So for our bees that are in more of the arts fields, website designers as well, if you're in social media marketing, things like that, your resume has a lot of pop and color to it. And then if you have sites that you've worked on in that about section on LinkedIn, I have them list them there to where someone can click and read on about it. That way, if you've worked on special projects as well, a lot of people don't know there's a profile section you can add on your LinkedIn for special projects you've worked on. And so I have them added there as well so people can see their work. If you're in an industry to where your work is tangible or visual, we need to see that, because you have to stand apart. Like we said, you're one of 100 applicants. So how do you beat the odds?
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's explain the bee, because you keep referring to the bee and your logo is a very cute bee. So talk to us about the bee, as in like a
So,
honeybee type of character.
yes. So we call our members jobbies because bees are one of the most hardest working insects. And jobs, of course, because they're getting jobs. I did not want to go the route a lot of Black companies go that are Black based by having, the red, black, and green, or the power fist or anything like that. Because we believe that, we tell people the B in Black is for jobbies. And so our logo and what we cater to around in our group and in our membership is just having that inclusivity. We believe that the Black race is extremely diverse. And so a lot of times when, especially when people interview me, things like that, they're like, well, how do you keep it diverse? And I'm like, Black people are everywhere. Just like bees are everywhere. They just kind of just buzz around. They're in every country. They have a subgroup in every ethnicity, nationality, and tradition. And so the bee is just kind of to show the Black community that we're just one, we call it one hive, one tribe, one vibe. And so it's just one voice. And so the jobbies, we like the bee theme because it's not about, it doesn't get into many of the intersectionalities and things like that. That way everybody that's Black who is in the group, they feel included in one pronoun, so to speak.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Another question on LinkedIn, and this is something I see often with folks, and I say this as I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile picture, and I do have to say I recognize the background behind you that looks like you might be at Hera Hub Phoenix for this particular headshot. Am I right?
Yes, I am.
I recognize the peacock pattern behind you. So, what are best practices? I mean, obviously we all know in theory that we need a really great headshot, but I see so many people who just don't do it. So what's your advice on somebody who maybe is on a budget to put together a great headshot for LinkedIn and their online presence?
That's a good question. So iPhone users, there is a setting in your camera that says portrait mode. And I believe Android users as well. I always tell them to use that and the timer. For women, I always let them know if you're going to have hair around you, make sure that your hair is pulled, in a way to where your face is framed. Maybe a little bit of makeup, even if you're a little bit against it, just to make sure you look very well put together, and not to have a selfie to where it's just your face just blasting at somebody.
Definitely. Yeah. And this just cracks me up that people still they clearly were in a picture with somebody else and they've like cut themselves out. You know what I mean? The picture. Like, really? Come on.
Yes. We show a lot of tough love and Black on the job. So our LinkedIn reviews, it's so funny. A lot of people, as soon as they get on the phone, they say, okay, Sin, I already know you're about to chop me up, so I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, that LinkedIn profile pic gotta go. Now. I'll be checking tomorrow to make sure you figured something better out.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something you said, which is on average, a job posting is getting 100 or so resumes. This is a personal experience. I'm on the board for an organization called Startup San Diego. And we were recently going through the process of hiring a new executive director. And we got well over 500 resumes for this position, which I was frankly a bit shocked by, to be honest. Let's go back to some of those tools. If somebody is hiring and they get 100 resumes or 500 resumes, what are some of the tools that you recommend they utilize to even wade through that amount of information?
The very first tool that will decrease your numbers by 80% right away is to send them out a follow-up questionnaire automatically. And then whoever doesn't fill it out, move on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people, especially with Indeed and things like that, I know it sounds very simple, But with Indeed and all these, click and play, it's very easy just to press send and send your resume to a position. Yeah. So from a company standpoint, you're going to get an influx. But for those who are actively job hunting and are intentional, when they get those follow-up emails and things like that, they're going to follow up. And then based off those questions that you send out, you can kind of make a determination.
Makes sense. Absolutely. Is there an automated way to do that in platforms like Indeed?
Yes, it is. You actually can send out it's a workflow that you can set up to where when people apply, you know how you can send out an automatic reject letter as well as Indeed, like if they don't fill out the whole application or doesn't attach, you can have it auto send out a questionnaire. So it takes a little bit of more work on the front end, but it works out.
That's good to know. I just used Indeed for the first time to do hiring of an operations coordinator. So I didn't quite get to all the bells and whistles. I also only posted it for 3 days and got about 30 resumes and ended up finding the right person through that process. So I tried to keep it as simple as possible since I don't have...
it can get overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very interesting. Last question on this topic. What are some of your favorite sites if somebody is searching for a job as a general? I know there's some industry specific sites, but do you like Indeed? Or there's other sites that you like?
I think LinkedIn is the best way because LinkedIn is like Facebook for professionals. So not only are you able to see your candidate's resume because they can attach it to their profile section, and of course, the job history section, you also can see how they interact with others. So you're able to get kind of a sneak peek on how their language is, what their passions are. We make people set up their profile section to where it's a 3-point section. The first paragraph says how long you've been in the field and what field you're in. The second paragraph goes over their passions and why they're passionate about the field. And the third paragraph shows where they want to grow.
Great advice. Yep. LinkedIn. I love it too. I'm on it constantly. It is the de facto tool out there for sure. Well, Cyntoni, what's on the horizon for your business? What's next?
Thank you for asking. So the next portion of Black on the Job is our Jobby Academy. And we are using Jobby Academy as our hub to get the word out about Black on the Job and just to increase our amount of resources. And so in Jobby Academy, we have courses that are released. So we have Interviewing While Black, how to interview, Negotiating While Black, negotiating skills, Boundaries While Black, how to set up appropriate boundaries in the workplace, and last but not least, Leadership While Black, showing Black people how to develop leadership skills in corporate America.
Love it. Exciting. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about your business, where is the best place for them to go?
You can go to jobbyacademy.org, and that's JOBBEE academy.org.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, it was so great chatting with you today, Cyntoni. I really, really enjoyed our conversation and learned some new things for my next recruitment search for Hera Hub.
Perfect. And reach out if you need some help.
Thank you. Will do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.